I am buying Bitcoin today. To be more specific, our crypto fear and greed plan has given us a signal to purchase a small amount of Bitcoin as the market falls. I'll show you specifically that plan, how we've used it over now 12 months, and of course, where you can get that plan from if you so choose to. Nothing has changed from Saturday's video, specifically looking at do not buy crypto in a Bitcoin bear market. They're two differences. Crypto is one thing, Bitcoin is another, just to get that clarity early on in the video. So this video, we're going to look at Bitcoin, the crash over the last few days as the market continues to fall, and what does this all mean for the months coming up. Of course, regular viewers know I'm looking for a significant low to come in later this year. And so far, that has proven pretty well. You know, we're waiting for this market to find a significant low before we get that consolidation, that accumulation, and that confirmation as the market trends higher. We continue to stick by that. It's been several months now that we've talked about that on the channel. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. First up, do the good thing, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out the links to Bybit. We're giving away 2 ETH. 4 lucky winners will get half an ETH each. Link is in the top of the video description. All you gotta do is sign up. It's a no KYC exchange and deposit at least $10. Plus you can get up to $4,000 of sign up bonuses as well. And this week, our free newsletter goes out. There's also a link in that video description as well, looking specifically at stocks, crypto, real estate. It is jam-packed full of great information. Without further ado, let's crack on. So it's important just to mention the difference between crypto and Bitcoin because Saturday's video went off. This was a couple of days ago. Do not buy crypto in a Bitcoin bear market. I'll leave a link to this at the end of this video, and it is a specific explainer looking at altcoins, when to buy them, when not to buy them, and of course, Bitcoin. 2 separate things. That's the video. Today, signal is 11 on the fear and greed index. This is something I put together about 12 months ago. So far, it's worked out pretty damn well. This doesn't mean that Bitcoin will never go below the price that you purchase at. That's unrealistic. But the idea is to keep us safe and not buy into the greed, not buy into the green side so much, because that is when the majority of people come into the market and the majority of people get absolutely burnt. And they continue to buy crypto and altcoins while the market's dropping because it's said time and time again by influencers, buy these things on the dip. Remember, 99% of these things, cryptos that is, not Bitcoin, not even Ethereum, I think, my personal opinion, 99% of these altcoins are probably not going to make it. And that the reason being is they have a war chest, they have funds, and once these funds are worn out, there's nothing left. And if the dream hasn't been realized, the hopes fade, the dream goes bust. That's the reality of these startups. Now I'm hitting you with this. It's more in my interest, if I want to make more money from people, is to pump Hopium up them every single day. That would be better for me, but that doesn't make me feel good. I want to explain the markets and how I see them and how I'm playing them. I'm not always going to get it right. I'm going to be wrong sometimes, but more often than not, I've been right. Using my own strategies doesn't mean you have to follow them. And I strongly suggest you do your own research and take whatever works for you and turn it into something that becomes your own plan. That's how I've basically developed over all these years in crypto and property and stock market. So take what works, turn it into your own. That goes for saying, looking at this fear and greed plan. That's why I bring that up early on as well, because the plan doesn't need to be stuck to precisely, but at least it's a starting point, and then you need to have some ending points where you sell out for profit. So fear and greed plan at 11. Last week we were at 18. This is the first time we have hit so low since the crashes early this year in January, and then back to the previous crashes in 2021. I'm starting to get a little bit excited here because I think the crash is coming to an end probably in the next few months, let's say 2 to 6 months, something like that. We've endured 6 months of down, maybe another 2 to 6 months to go before we see a significant low, and then the market has to reverse, recover, and start to work its way back up. That's why it could take 6 months, 12 months. Maybe we won't see another high, something in the 60s, for at least another 12 months, but I'm talking about a low to get to that point. So there's still a lot of work the market has to get through. But if we stay with the plan, then that keeps us buying the Bitcoin at these lower prices and not being a fool. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things that triggers me and gets me salty, is that or almost every single influencer just tells you to keep buying on the way down. And that wrecks people so much. If you actually do the maths, it wrecks people a hell of a lot. So this is just a little quick tweet. Thanks to everyone that popped in and mentioned how to say this, because there are a lot of new people to the market still. And if you say don't buy crypto and then all of a sudden you're saying buy Bitcoin, it can get quite confusing. So I hope I've cleared that up. If I haven't, let me know in the comments down below. I love hearing from you guys to get a bit more clarity around how to deliver the message so it helps more people. I'm so passionate about it because that is from my experience with crypto back when I started in 2017. Influencers paid. It's more in their best interest just to keep to keep pushing Hopium, and more people see the benefit from it. More people retweet their stuff, and then they just love to feel good about the Hopium. That's not the case when it comes to real investing. The real investors, long term, they don't want to hear Hopium every single day. It's stupid to think like that, especially with maximalist cryptocurrency communities like Cardano, like Solana, like Luna, like name any of them that have these maximalist communities. It's not to say that they can't work, but when you get maximalist about something, you're bound to get destroyed. All right. Speaking of not getting destroyed, let's take a look at the fear and greed plan at the moment. So this is the plan here that is available to all our members. That's Patreon and Premium. You can find a link to this in the top of the video description. Just look for TIA Lite, Patreon. Fear and greed plan, pretty damn simple in terms of an entry trigger. Just looking at 15 here. So here, these are all the dates. This is the number of investments. This is the entry prices. The amount invested, so just taking an arbitrary number here, just basically $1,000 every time, and then the total of Bitcoin that we've purchased, 0.5, and then this is the amount purchased at each time. The fear and greed index was at 15 or below. The average purchase price is around 35,473 now. Bitcoin's price today is 34,000. So this is one of those few times that the price now is down 3%. You can have other rules to exit at a profit. And I look at specifically Gann analysis and Wyckoff analysis. That's TA. And I know TA people on YouTube or Twitter or whatever are probably some of the most hated people. They loved and hated. Some of this stuff has definitive answers. Some of it doesn't. And the majority of it doesn't. You have to keep balancing the risk versus the reward. And depending on your time frame, you have to flip quite quickly. It has to be short term. You're going to flip hour to hour. Medium term, maybe day to weekly, and then longer term, month to month. That's just the nature of trading these markets rather than investing for 20 or 50 years, because it's still early days and maybe this stuff isn't going to be around in 20 years' time. We honestly don't know, regardless of all of the bullish Hopium, which I have coming up just to give a bit of an example. Anyway, let's throw in today's purchase, and this purchase price is at a value of 34,000. So we go to today's open. Let's call it 34,224. I generally use the Binance chart, but it's close enough here. So 34,224. There we go. We've almost bought another 0.03 of a Bitcoin, so 0.029. Gets us up to a 0.54 position. Return negative 3.3%. And I dare say this is probably going to go lower as well. I don't think the full downside is done yet. I think we still need to test some of those lower prices, but this is what happens when we have to stick to a plan. I'm just using this as an example because it did help during those last lows during May and June, July when Bitcoin was crashing. And then obviously we had that extra 100% from those prices. Now, total market caps are down again. So we're at 1.5 trillion, Bitcoin at 650. I remember the day when people were saying Bitcoin wouldn't ever fall below $1 trillion market cap. How wrong were they? I don't like those definitive answers. And I'm suggesting that to you, whenever you hear those definitive answers, get rid of them and try not to bring them into your own investments and your own decision making, because it generally wrecks the people who do. Remember, Bitcoin had to go to 100 grand, never did. Bitcoin has to go to 500 or a million. I mean, we're a long way from that right now. And doesn't mean we have to ever get there based on anyone else's decisions. Let's just follow the market and do what it's showing. So 34,500 is a very significant support level. It is flirting with danger here. It is only 1 day under, but this is a major support level. So I want to see where this market closes now at the end of this week. We still have another 7 days. We only just started the new week. It does look like we will probably test the 33K now that we've broken the February low, which was that Russia invading Ukraine low. And the market's just basically been rejected all the way down. So this bear flag that we've looked at, that's the pole. There's the flag. is starting to play out. Doesn't mean it has to complete the entire pattern, and doesn't mean it has to do it at any time, but it is starting to do that right now. So that leads me to believe potentially, let's test the 33, let's test the 29. You can see where these yellow lines are for support levels, and somewhere in this mid zone, maybe we'll get a close above that somewhere down the track in the next few months, like coming back up and test, fake out, test some of those lows there and work its way back above. And that's just going to take some time to eventually roll over and play out. When that does happen, I don't expect that we'll catch the exact low. I'm not in the game to catch the low or sell the exact top. But as I've pointed out many times before, our only goal here, anyone watching, your goal's not to catch the low and sell the exact top. Doesn't mean anything. Your goal is to make profits. And if those profits mean getting in when there's confirmation, getting out when there's confirmation, then you just take a beautiful big chunk of profits out of the middle of the market. Doesn't even matter if the profits aren't that much, as long as you're making profits. If it's just a smaller section in the market, be happy with that too, because it is a tough game now that we've been through another cycle. Getting towards the end of the bearish period, I still think has several more months to go. But now you see that making profits is easy in the bull, but keeping them is much, much more difficult, which is why I stress about, personally, not buying cryptos in the bear market, or basically dollar cost averaging into these positions like they're going to make it. None of these cryptos are confirmed. Sorry to keep banging on with the bearish sounding, but at the end of the day, I want to see you survive. I want to see you here longer term. And if your investments keep going down at this rate and they fall another 50% from here and 50% from here and 50% from there, you're not going to be left with too much. And it's those people are not going to make it in the long run, unfortunately. Looking at the psychology here of a market, the Wall Street cheat sheet. Now, let's move this out of the way. You can see that crypto is probably somewhere in this zone here, anger, and then working its way down. I think we're going to start seeing some sort of angry people soon, if we haven't already. I'm definitely seeing it with, say, the ADA community, if you mention anything about it, which I guess you see that at any time, unfortunately. I try to give you my honest opinion and do that with all of the projects because I want to keep it black and white. Doesn't mean any of these are ever going to survive long term. That's just the way it works. So we're looking for this period to start to roll over and get into a depression and then get into that disbelief. It takes a lot of time. And I remember a lot of people were thinking that we're in a disbelief way too early on. You know, we had this pump up here in 2021. It got us to the top in 2021, but this was really just a very weak rally when you consider what happened previously from March 2020 into the peak of April 2021. So basically 13 months, big gains, and then not many gains. The altcoins had their move, but Bitcoin didn't. So the market was telling us that it was getting a little bit weaker. So I think we're in this sort of zone here now. We're going through some capitulations. Capitulations will keep happening time and time again. And then we'll get to this anger and depression. And that's when you know, look, it's probably feeling even safer to be piling into good cryptocurrencies. I'm not talking about all of the other stuff. I'm looking at personally Bitcoin and ETH. You do you. Looking at the price here, 200-week moving average. This is coming out at about 21,700. I think probably getting close to about 21,800. So for a round number, we're at about $22,000 on the 200-week moving average. The market has come back to this level on each occasion. Again, doesn't mean it has to happen, but it's getting close to that. And as we continue to rise on the moving average, then the market could potentially fall back to that level and get us that next reset for the move up. I think it's going to take some time. If we get a sharp drop, great. But again, you probably have some more time while the market recovers and then moves on again. I don't think we're going to shoot to any new all-time high. Even if we saw a relief rally in the next few days, we've been depressed now for several days in a row. The market has to find some relief, and I dare say it's going to come up and at best probably test some of these underside levels here at about $37,000 or $38,000. If it ever got to 43, I think a lot of people probably sell in this period of the market moving down. Later on, if it has found its low and starts to work its way higher, then that's a different story because the market cycle has changed. It's a different sentiment. But for now, if we don't just break through here, then we'll probably come up and test those levels around 37, 38. You probably see a little bit more selling, people just getting out of the market as it continues lower, testing some of these undersides, and we'll see where we end up with the next low. But I've got my levels in here and continue to update on the channel. Make sure you stick around, like and subscribe. that's the way to do it. Looking at the next chart here, I was thinking just before this, TA and looking at these charts and data are probably some of the most hated people, as I said earlier, because something like stock to flow, everyone was expecting $1 million Bitcoin. This has to happen in the next 5 years and 100 grand by the end of 2021. None of this stuff happens. These models break, and they're most likely going to continue to break because there is so few data points. Don't ever forget that. It's only 10 years old, and this stuff really has not had enough time to give enough information to forecast this market. I use something different. I use technical analysis, Gann analysis, and Wyckoff analysis, which was developed over 100 years ago. Anyone can do this, just takes time. That's the sort of thing I prefer to look at because it's been tried and tested over many, many, many decades, and it works for any market. Crypto, stocks, anything with a chart, you can do your analysis on using what I like, TA of Gann, WD Gann, Mr. Gann, and Mr. Wyckoff. So stock to flow, broken, logarithmic, dropping out. We'll see what happens there. Your Hopium, Coinbase, stocks at all-time low. The other Hopium is the on-chain data. That's the sort of new stuff that comes through. Bitcoin supply shock in play. How many times have we heard this in 2022 and 2021? Anything on-chain data continues just to perpetuate this whole little bullish scenario that influencers need in order to continue to make profits and make people feel happy. Sorry if you're not feeling happy with this. I'm getting quite excited because I do think we're coming towards a good point in the market, which I've repeated many times at the moment in this video. Having said that, it's really important to remember, especially as the market gets into the fear that's at 11 now, especially after such a long decline. So that's a really nice strong piece of bullish Hopium for me. Remember some of the other Hopium, the Bitcoin Wallet 3. If you didn't, don't worry. It's probably going to circle around again in the news when someone figures out that they need to look at a Wallet 3. Essentially, it's the third biggest wallet in Bitcoin, and it was buying Bitcoin at 40 grand and 39 grand, all this sort of stuff. You can see this, it was happening all 2021. They were buying and then selling again. Remember, the whales don't just buy Bitcoin. They are buying and selling. And you can see this was coming up over and over again, and they sold out 60 backwards and forwards. It's essentially trading Bitcoin, all right? But what gets confused here is the on-chain analysis of this whale wallet, biggest whales are buying, therefore I'm buying. The whales aren't just buying. They are buying it low, selling it high, and testing the market, which we've covered heaps of times before. Remember that when you hear about this Wallet 3 and people searching to see what this person's doing, they're buying and they're selling, that sort of thing. They're far more active. They got millions, I think in this case, billions and billions of dollars. They're not just essentially buying and then holding for the long run. They are trading this stuff backwards and forwards. My plan for the next several months, firstly, it's to check out the links in the description. Bybit give away four lucky winners. We get half an ETH. So that's 2 ETH that we're giving away with Bybit. Use that link to sign up and deposit at least $10 to go in the draw. And this week is our free newsletter. So go and do that. Check that out. All you have to do is click on the link and drop your details there. Free newsletter is coming out for cryptos and real estate, of course. The other things I'm doing during the next several months for Bitcoin and crypto, enjoying the bear market fear. There's a lot of excitement at the moment if you can see the opportunities. Buy low, sell high. It sucks that it comes from someone else's problems, but I personally believe some people haven't done enough work in the space or enough work on themselves or enough work for investing or trading, but potentially you have, and you have that upper hand. Sure, it can be a zero-sum game, but you got to know that before you get into it. So it's not about everyone trying to win. People can win, but if you put the work into it, I'm sure you'll get there. And especially if you're here during these bear market times, you will see and have experienced an entire market cycle, like we can see when we go back to the Wall Street cheat sheet. Once you can get through this multiple times, notice all of the emotions, and you stay with the market, don't go anywhere, don't screw around and get bored with stuff, this you cannot buy. This is something that you cannot buy, the psychology of a market, and learning this over and over again. Crypto, I think, is one of the best places to learn this because it happens so regularly and so quickly that you get to experience it so that you are prepared for the bigger cycles. For example, real estate, which can take sort of 18 to 20 years to complete one full cycle. Stick with crypto. it will be a godsend. You will love it after what you've learned here for your investments and your own money. Next, you've got to enjoy a small break because you've got to refresh, get that bank balance, that mental balance back, just like you do with your bank balance. Get your emotions back in check. Personally, start accumulating Bitcoin and ETH. Choose whichever cryptos you think are the next big thing. And then time to get mega bullish. Question to you, what are you going to do? How about you? How are you spending this summer in the Northern Hemisphere, or winter for us down here? How are you spending this time in the market if it gets very, very dull? Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. Links are all there. See you at the next video. Until then, have more fun to get more done.